Alrighty, today's video we are going to, I'm going to introduce you to what like terms are and how to combine like terms. I'm also going to go through several vocabulary words that you're going to hear me use throughout this unit. So you need to understand, when I'm giving my instruction for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, what I'm talking about when I'm using these different vocab words. All right, so let's start our notes. Intro to like terms. All right, so like I said, first we're going to start off with some vocabulary. All right, the first word that I'm going to talk about is the word term. All right, what a term is, it's a number or a variable, or the product of a number and a variable. Okay, so any of these three things could be a term. All right, a couple of examples. All right, let's say you had 15. Well, that's a number, so that would be an example of a term. Let's say you had X. That's a variable, so that's an example of a term. Let's say you had 6Y. That's the product. Product means multiplication, and this is saying 6 times Y because it's right next to it. So this is the product of a number and a variable. So that's an example of a term. These three examples are all what we call one term. There's only one term in the expression. Okay. Another example. Let's say I had X plus 15. Okay, well, a term, remember, is a number, a variable, or the product. This is not a product. All right, so what this is an example of is actually two terms. Okay, your X is one term because that's a variable. 15 is another term because it's a number. They're connected to each other with addition, not multiplication. So that's what separates this into what we call two terms. Okay, another example of two terms would be like 2x plus 10. This is one term because it's the product of a number and a variable. So that's one term. 10 is just a number, so that's another term. As soon as you put addition and subtraction between the two, that's what separates it into an expression that has two terms. All right. Next vocab word is constant. What a constant is it's just a term with no variables. So really it's just a number. Okay. So an example of a constant, like I said, is just a number. So we could say -2 is a constant. 500 is a constant. 3 is a constant. Okay, just numbers on their own. All right, next vocab word, variable. All right, and a variable is just a letter that stands for a number or represents a number. All right, so some examples of variables would be any letter you can think of. X, Y, A, B. Those are all examples of variables. All right, number 4. Like terms. And this is what we're going to talk about later on in the video. Like terms are terms with identical variables. Okay, they're going to be terms that have the same variable. Okay. Okay, so examples of like terms would be like 2x and negative 5x. Okay, see how they both have the variable of x? That means that they're like terms. Okay, you could have 2a and 6a. Okay, the thing about like terms is that since they have the same variable, we will be able to combine them, and that's what we're going to do later on. Okay, this is like saying that I have 2a's, I have 6a's. So if I combine, if I put these two together, I could say, okay, I have a total of 8a's on my page. Okay, that's the key thing with like terms, is that we will be able to put them together. All right, so this is one term, this is a second term. They both have that variable of a, so they're considered like terms. Okay, two more definitions. And if you need to pause the video, pause your video so that you can get caught up if I'm going too fast for you. All right, fifth vocab word is coefficient. Okay, what the coefficient is it's the number in a multiplication expression. So it's the number that's out in front of the variable. All right, so for example, if we had the expression 3x, this number, the number 3, that's the number in this multiplication problem. That's the number out in front of the variable. That's what you call the coefficient. Okay. The x is your variable. Okay. And then this whole thing together is a number, is the product of a number and a variable. So the whole thing together is the term that we are talking about. All right. So that's the different parts of your term. Number out in front is the coefficient. The letter is your variable. And the whole thing is the coefficient. All right, last vocab word is algebraic expression. Okay, and an algebraic expression is just where you have numbers, variables, and symbols. And the key thing is there will never be an equal sign when you are using an expression. No equal sign. Okay, so a couple of examples of expressions would be 10x, it's an expression, no equal sign. 2y plus w, expression, no equal sign. 5 plus 4. Yeah, that's a problem. We could find the answer, but we're not using an equal sign. That would be an expression. Okay? All right, that's it for the vocab words. Okay, so now we are going to talk about what like terms are, what unlike terms are, and then combining them. All right, so over here we're going to have examples of like terms. And over here we are going to have unlike terms. Okay, so remember, like terms are when you have the same variable. So if we have 2x and 3x, that's an example of like terms because they both have that x. Okay, if you have a number by itself, they have no variable, so they're like terms. So like -4 and 6, those would be like terms. Another example would be like 14y and -6y. They both have the variable of y. They're both connected to that y with multiplication. So 14y and -6y would be like terms. If you had like 6ab and 8ab, they both have the variable of ab. So those are also like terms. Okay, so if those are all examples of like terms, what would unlike terms look like? Well, any term that does not have the same variable. So if we have like 6 and 2a, see how the 6 doesn't have a variable of a? So that means these are unlike because they both don't have a's. Another example would be like -4b and -18. Okay. Okay, another example of unlike terms would be like if you had a and b. This has an a, this has a b, they're different, so they are unlike terms. Okay, last example, 4y and -6x would be unlike. This has a y, this has an x, they're not the same. You couldn't combine them together. Okay. All right, so last thing and the big thing for this lesson is combining like terms. Okay, you can only combine like terms. You can only combine terms that are alike or have the same variable. Okay. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples. Okay, if we had the expression 6 plus 2p plus 4p. Okay, so I want to pull out my like terms. So remember, they have to have the same variable. So right here, I have the term 2p. Right here, I have 4p. They both have a variable of p, so they are like terms. Now I'm going to combine them. Think about what combine means. Put them together. So we're going to add them together. Now, one really, really important thing when you are adding your terms together is whatever the operation sign is in front of the number is going to stay with the number that follows it. Okay, this is going to say whether it's a positive or a negative term. So when I combine, I'm going to think positive 2p plus positive 4p. So I'm going to think 2 plus 4, I now have a total of 6 p's. Well, what about this 6? Well, there's nothing I can combine with it, but it's still there. If there's no sign in front of the number, that means it's positive. So I can bring down plus 6. All right, and that's as far as you can go with this. We're just trying to simplify the expression, consolidate things. So 6p plus 6 will be the final answer. Okay. Okay, let's look at another example. 7 plus 5e plus 8. Okay, when I look at this, I think, all right, I have a number by itself. Do I have any other numbers by themselves? Yes, the 8. So those are like terms. I'm going to think positive 7 plus positive 8. I get 15. Okay, I still have this positive 5e, so I'm going to bring it down, plus 5e. That right there is my final answer. All right, another example. All right, let's see, 9 plus 4f plus 3 plus 9f. All right, so I notice that I have a number all alone, a constant. Do I have any other constants? Yes, right here, positive 3. So those are like terms. I can combine those. So 9 plus 3 is 12, positive 12. All right, now I have 4f. Do I have any other terms with the letter f? Yes, right here, positive 9f. So I'm going to think positive 4 plus positive 9 gives me positive 13f. And that's my final answer. Number 4. All right, again, let's see what our like terms are. So I have a term that has an m variable. Do I have any other terms with the m variable? Yes, right here. So the negative 7m and the negative 3m and positive 7m are like terms. So I'm going to combine them. So I need to think negative 3 plus 7. All right, so think about your number line. If you go back 3, then you go forward 7, where would you be? Positive 4m. Okay, now I can combine my b's. So positive 6b and positive 5b. I'm going to think 6 plus 5 is positive 11b's. And that would be your final answer. Okay. One more. What I want you to do is try this one, pause the video, try it on your own, and then check your answer with my work. 12a plus 4 minus 10a minus 5. Okay. Let's see how you did. So when we go to combine, I see I have a. So I have 12a, and then right here I also have an a. So I can combine 12a and negative 10a. So I'm going to think in my head 12 plus negative 10. 12 plus negative 10. So if I go forward 12, I go back 10, where would I be? Positive 2. So I have 2a. Okay. Now I have 4 and negative 5. Those are constants. I can add those together. So I think forward 4, back 5, where would I be? Negative 1. That will be your final answer. All right. Let's try another one. Negative 3w plus 5w minus w. Okay, so question that came up in class was, well, what is this minus w right here? There's no number out in front. When you have a variable and there is no number in front of it, you want to think, well, how many w's do I see on the paper right there when I'm just looking at this term? Well, I see 1 w. So if there is no number out in front of the variable, there is really a 1 there. Okay, so now that I know that it's saying minus 1W, I can combine with my other W's. So I have negative 3W and positive 5W. When I combine those two, I think I'm going to go back 3, forward 5. So at that point, I'm at positive 2. So I have two W's. Well, I'm now going to combine my two W's with this negative 1W. So I'm going to think 2 plus negative 1. I'm going to go forward 2. I'm going to go back 1. So I have a total of 1W. All right, last one. All right, pause the video, try it on your own, and then check your work with my answer. Okay, so when I look at this, I don't see any A's that I can combine. So I am just going to bring down to A. Okay, I do see some B's. I see B and 6B. So I'm going to combine those together. Well, what's the coefficient in front of that B? I see 1B, so there's really a 1 there. I'm going to think 1B plus 6B gives me 7B. And that's my final answer.